Welcome back to the final segment of the Jeff Crilley Show. It's really been a fast-paced show. My next and final guest is Lo Hornbuckle. He is the CEO and founder of thesageoak.com, and that is an assisted living community. Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Okay, so how did this all start for you?
Well, it's not a bright, cheery story, unfortunately. I have a background in sales and worked for a car dealership for a long time, which seems like a really strange transition into assisted living, as you might imagine. And had some personal experiences where took care of some family members, and then sort of culminated when my dad, who eventually went on hospice and passed away, had a really bad experience. And it started, at the time, I didn't really realize it really had an effect on me. And then I started to realize that, if I'm going to go start a company, why not start a company that maybe speaks to some social values that I have about helping people? Because you can make a dollar a lot of different ways. You could be an arms dealer, for example, but maybe you wouldn't feel very good about what you were doing. And so what I love about this opportunity is that I get a chance to take care of my family, but most importantly, I get to help other families. And so it's been really an awesome opportunity to kind of give back some of the stuff that I felt when I went through that with my dad.
And I think you come into the industry with a fresh pair of eyes because you didn't grow up in the industry. This is something that you kind of looked at and said, well, I think I can do it differently. You're an industry disruptor. How are your facilities different?
Well, the stuff that we're doing, so basically what we do is we go into residential neighborhoods. We go into residential neighborhoods and we either buy existing or we develop new small boutique assisted living facilities. So these are 8-bed facilities. And there's a lot of reasons behind that, primarily because as compared to a larger building, number one, if you're someone that doesn't want to be overstimulated, having lunch with 40 or 50 people may not be something you're interested in. If you have mobility challenges, then those 100-yard hallways that are so typical in large assisted living facilities, we don't have those. We're in a home. Right now, our current client base is sort of Depression-era folks. And it's funny, we can tell the same story over and over and over again, and it seems to always be true, which is that they lived in a house for 50 years, and then over time, they had a 3,000 square foot house, and over time, they just kept shrinking their space to where they only actually lived in maybe 100 or 150 square feet of it. They sat in the same recliner, basically watched a little television in a certain area, had a little table, had their breakfast or lunch or dinner, and then went to their room. And so basically, they were started to live the life that we offer now by shrinking their own square footage. And so what we started to realize is that there's just this big myth out there when it comes to large assisted living facilities. And I don't want to knock them. They do an awesome job in a lot of ways, and they offer a lot of services that are very important. But there are certain clients of ours that cannot function successfully in a several thousand square foot facility with several hundred people in it with 100-yard hallways. They just don't do well in that environment. And the percentages of people that that's becoming true for is probably higher than the big places want to acknowledge. And so we try to service the people that just don't fit into these apartment-style living communities that are offered in the big box assisted living facilities.
And I've got to compliment you, and I encourage my audience to go to the website. Thesageoak.com is the website. The facilities are beautiful. I mean, they're modern construction and clean. Why don't you describe why that is so important?
Yeah, for sure. So I think when you said I look at things through a fresh set of eyes, I really think for me that's been a big plus, and one of the reasons we've been able to expand so fast is because historically, so these are historically known as group homes or care homes or residential facilities, and the people that have been in them, a lot of times they come from a healthcare background. So the people that run typical care homes are either a social worker, maybe gets disillusioned with their corporate job and goes off to start a group home, or a nurse, for example, that does that. And so they have a very specific skill set. Well, my background was more real estate, customer service, property management. And so I kind of decided that, hey, if I bring the skills that I have to the table and then hire somebody that has those years of experience in the senior housing and the healthcare field, combining those two means that we can offer a product that when the families walk in to tour, the most common phrase we hear is, hey, I want to live here. I want to live here? So that's really what we're after, is that we don't want someone to go, hey, this is a place that I'm going to stash mom or dad or stash my spouse that I'd never want to come to because it's depressing or sad. So we're after light, airy. Obviously we have safety components of things like, ADA bathrooms, wide hallways, level floors. All those things are to be expected, but what we're after is a certain feeling when you walk in the house so that you feel like it's home, but also that it feels upbeat and again, light and airy is really kind of what we're after.
And you also offer memory care, and that is like a growing category,
Sure.
isn't it? With memory care, the lighting, the hallways, all of that stuff plays a role, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen a ton of studies to the contrary. There's been a bunch of studies that indicate, and there's a lot of good stuff coming out of Holland. A lot of stuff basically indicates that with memory care, small environments are 100% the way to go. And the reason for that is because imagine you go to sleep and you wake up and you're in the Sahara Desert. And that's what it feels like when you have memory loss a lot of times, or you have Alzheimer's or dementia. And so the faster we can re-anchor them and reorientate them to their environment. Because if they can't form new memories, they may not know where they are. They may not know who the caregivers are. They may not even know their own family. The faster we can reorientate them to that environment, kind of anchor them to that environment, the more successful we're going to be on a day-to-day basis. So when they wake up in the morning and the coffee's percolating in the coffee pot and the kitchen's open and they can smell the food being prepared and the bacon's crackling, the sounds of the property are the sounds of a house, not institutional. It doesn't seem like a hospital. What happens is they have a tendency to sort of get back into their day a little easier. And so we find a lot of times people that sometimes are confused or sometimes agitated in larger buildings, when they're able to come live with us, we have some better results. Sometimes the clouds part a little bit, and we see that they actually have a better experience. And of course, anyone that's ever taken care of someone with memory loss, the family knows it's a devastating disease to watch unfold. And so just imagine a family member coming to you and saying, hey, I haven't gone on vacation for 3 years because I just knew that there was always going to be that phone call coming in that mom or dad has fallen or whatever the case may be. And with us, they come to us and go, hey, I know they're well taken care of. So I went to Hawaii for the first time because I knew that you guys were going to be there while I was out of town. So stuff like that is really what really warms my heart, is to know that, because really we're taking care of a resident, but their family, they get forgotten in the process. There's a lot of people out there spending a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of energy and a lot of heartache taking care of somebody that needs help, and it can really be a burnout process for sure.
Talk about the quality of the food, because I know that as many people are kind of shopping around to different communities, often the quality of the meals makes a difference.
Absolutely. I think food is a huge advantage that we offer. So if you imagine, everyone hears the phrase home-cooked meals. Well, no one ever says, I really wish that a meal was cooked 2 buildings over and served to me on a steam plate, right? So what we offer is, our staff does all the cooking. It's fresh. You can see the process happening. Sometimes if the residents are up for it, they contribute to the process. So it's an event. And meals are a great opportunity for us to socialize. When you walk in one of our properties during mealtime, it looks like Thanksgiving. There's 8 or 10 people around a table, all kind of conversating, all having their food, and the food was freshly prepared. It wasn't prepared a couple hours ago. That we didn't buy it from a major distributor like a Sodexo or something like that sells pre-packaged processed type stuff. So we really focus on home cooked meals, and fortunately we're in the South, and a lot of caregivers are women, and there's a lot of women in the South that can really cook. So we've got a lot of those on our staff. So we like to eat there as well ourselves.
Well, speaking of the staff, I know that the industry as a whole, there's a lot of turnover. What do you do to keep great employees in place?
Well, as a company that's a couple years old, it's something that we're kind of learning as well. And the reality is that we look for people that have heart and attitude. So one of the common questions that I get when we're on a tour is, what's the sort of certifications or accreditations of your staff? And some of our staff have no certifications, have no accrediting process, but they're some of our best employees. And the reason why is because they have a heart and attitude for it. If you're going to take care of somebody 24 hours a day, you've got to love that person. You've got to love your job. And so we really go after people that love what they do. And if you do that, then a lot of times the staff buys into the fact that you're doing something unique, that you offer unique service, and they've probably worked in a nursing home before, or they've worked in a large assisted living or a hospital. And so they really understand what it's like to get to know a person for a year or two versus just seeing them for a couple of days. It's a very different relationship building process.
Well, congratulations on your success, because
Thank you.
you're a young man. You told me in the hallway, 35 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, 35. So I'm eligible to run for president.
Hey,
just now,
man,
yeah. So
are you want to announce right now? We could do that.
that would be the shortest and least successful presidential campaign in history.
So what's your big picture for this? Because you've grown it from 1 to now 4 and soon to be 5 facilities.
Yeah, it's funny. I knew you were going to ask that question, and I've spent probably hundreds of hours thinking about the answer to that. And the answer is I really don't know. I think if you'd have told me 2 years ago that we'd have 5 facilities, I probably would have thought that was an aggressive timeline. I love what I do, and I love the service we can provide our families. At a certain point for me, I just want to build a company that does a great job taking care of people and also provides myself and my wife an opportunity to have a little fun. So maybe we'll go on a trip around the world and then come back and decide how big a company we want to build. I don't know the answer to that yet.
And bigger is not always better, is it?
No, not at all.
So give us the website one more time. If somebody wants to take a visit, can they just drop on in, or do they make appointments?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because we have several properties spread around the area, then it's best to make an appointment for tours, things like that. The website is Sage, SAGEOAK.com. So thesageoak.com.
Well, thank you. You've been a great guest.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
All right. And that's it for the Jeff Crilley Show for this week. We'll see you all next week.